All
Yeah,
right.
so we're Telurian. I'm Lockie, the drummer.
I'm
That's
Brenton.
all.
I do vocal. Eric. And
Okay, I suppose, yeah. I do the bass guitar, big guitar, joined recently.
And
Kris.
Liam plays eight-string guitar. And we just dropped a new EP. It's a two-track EP, and it's got the instrumentals in there as well.
Very good, guys. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
no
No
worries at all.
worries.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
No worries. So, Telurian recently released your second track of Earth back on February the 17th. So, how's the reception been for it?
It's been really good. We've been actually blown away by the amount of streams we're getting, but then as well, like people came to our EP launch show and they obviously knew the song. So that's awesome. That's just the best thing you can hope for, I think.
We weren't quite sure what to expect with the shows that we'd had before. We hadn't just kind of had friends connecting and stuff like that. But we've had heaps of people reach out and jump onto it and kind of spread the word. So it's been crazy.
Yeah, good stuff. And it's a cracking song, guys, that definitely grabbed my attention. So, tell us a bit more about it musically and what you were going for with it.
So it came from like the original iteration of the band, which actually was a little bit less technical. And when Liam got his eight string and I jumped on the drums and Brenton jumped on the vocals, we decided to rewrite the song, particularly after the intro. We just wanted to change the whole thing, and then we jammed it out. We just wanted like an epic, like a long 7 minute epic. Yeah, honestly, me and Liam just jammed it out. It came out as it is now, basically.
Coming in at just under 8 minutes is pretty long for a single, especially in the modern age where everyone's attention span's like 3 seconds. So was it pretty risky bringing out something that long?
Well, I don't think like we're definitely not trying to make art for like other people. We we want to make like experiences for people, and I think that like to really get into the flow of like a motif or an idea, it can take like more than 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me, it felt like originally, as someone who's perhaps not as into prog as a few of the other guys in the band, having a long song to start with, I was a bit, oh, I'm not sure how this is going to go. But then the more that we've listened to it and played it, it really felt like it sat right. And yeah, I guess the way the song goes, it does feel like a bit of a journey and an experience, and doesn't, at least for me personally, it doesn't feel like it's too much of a really long song because of the way that it changes.
Yeah.
So pretty happy with it.
And Of Earth follows on from your debut single, Arachnid. So how do the two songs differ musically?
I'd say like Arachnid's kind of our middle of the road metal song. Like it's more listenable. It's at the 4 minute mark, and it's more like clear cut sections that have been placed next to one another. We just found it. I don't know. We went for a particular feel and vibe, and we knew that it would differ in a lot of ways, particularly in its pace to Telurian, to Of Earth, sorry. And so we thought it'd be a good one to start with. It would really pique everyone's interest before giving them something a bit longer to chew on in Of Earth.
I guess what we're going for with the band is to not be kind of constrained to one particular style of heavy. We're just trying to get a particular point or an emotion across, and we have quite a broad range of different styles of heavy music that we listen to and try and draw from all of those. So I released two songs a bit short and snappy, and then having the long one kind of give people a taste to expect different things with this that we put out.
So those are your first two singles that you've released. So why choose those two songs in particular to introduce Telurian to the music world?
Well, conceptually, the song Of Earth like really captures a lot from like why we started the project originally. But then Arachnid was one of the first songs that we wrote once we changed the lineup and we decided that we were going to go in a different direction. And so we kind of wanted to take a bit of the old and a bit of the new.
And your press release says that you use a combination of extended range guitars and dizzying rhythmical patterns. Like, I have no idea what that means, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so Liam's guitar will have 8 strings instead of the usual 6, And Eric, does your bass have 5 or 6?
It sure does. I have 5 strings, as opposed to the traditional 4, which you usually see. I
Yeah,
think that's more of a pattern of the pretty
the
much
genre.
most metal music today, I think, as most 5-string basses. But yeah,
An element of writing it a bit swanky for our press release as well to try and grab attention. But it's certainly
Sounded
we
quite
have
good.
have a focus on those, I guess, genty sounds, but not in the same way that a lot of other people are doing it. And Lockie in particular, he's a phenomenal drummer. He's great at putting polyrhythms together in ways that if you tried to play them as a drummer, they'd break your head a bit. But as a listener, it's not as immediately complex in a way that alienates a non-technical audience. So
Yeah.
I guess that's the line that we're trying to write a little bit with the songs that we're writing.
Yeah, sweet. And Telurian are a pretty new band, having formed just before the start of COVID. So how was that period for you guys as a new band? You know, like a lot of bands that had, well, all bands had to sort of take a breather, but existing bands had that fan base already that they could sort of reach out to. But you guys just coming in fresh, like how did you work things from there?
Oh yeah, it was like the school of hard knocks, man. Like, we felt like we'd just gotten going, and then we went into about a year and a half of, saying to people, yeah, I'm in a band, but like you can't listen to us and you can't watch us play. And so it became like a real grind. And I feel like that period defined our commitment really, because it'll never be that hard again, trying to find practice spaces and let alone thinking about trying to get a gig together and that kind of thing, like wondering whether the world was going to open up. But we also used that time to like fuel like the frustrations and stuff that we were experiencing from the government, I guess, or whatever. We used that as fuel and inspiration.
And you're so influenced by bands like Meshuggah, Lorna Shore, Cult of Luna, and Gojira, to name a few. So as a young band making their way, like how fine of a line is it between imitation and inspiration, and where do you draw that line?
I think in terms of inspiration is looking at techniques and looking at different writing methods that can kind of take you into your own direction. It's your own flavor. It's your own take on something that already exists. You know what I mean? That is a common theme throughout music, regardless of, it doesn't matter how far you go back. It's just, that's how it is. People are inspired by different styles of music and ways of writing or whatever. And then they make their own thing out of it because they love it, I guess.
Yeah. It's pretty hard there to know. It's like, I'm not saying you guys rip off anyone by any means. And it's just like, there's so much music out there these days that coming up with something fresh and new is just almost impossible. So it is a very fine line. And it's just interesting to find out from people where they sort of draw that line and how they know they're not crossing it.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
For instance, I'll hear a song by a metal band that has an intro, a particular section, or a particular feel that I haven't heard in that time signature, and it'll just spark my interest, and that's it. That's the only analysis I'll do. And then when we get to the jam room, I'll be like, oh, I heard this thing in the week. We should try, that kind of feel. And generally, we just spark each other's inspiration from that. And there's no way it could be imitated, but you can say that it came from this idea, but it is no way related anymore. I guess it's the improvisation that keeps us away from imitating.
Yeah, very cool. All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks very much for your time. What's up next for Telurian? What do you got next, cab off the rank?
Probably about one show a month from the next couple of months as we get money together, start selling merch and things like that, so that we can hopefully get back in the studio to get some more songs out before the end of the year.
We're hoping to get to Sydney in the second half of the year, and we're hoping to be invited back to the festivals that we played last year as well.
Good. All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for your time, and I'm glad we finally got to catch up, and make sure you keep us posted with anything you come out with in the future.
Yeah, thanks heaps, Kris.
Thanks for
Thank you so much for having us.
No worries at all, guys. Have yourselves a good afternoon.